Hello my lovely jubblies, and welcome to another story reading. Currently, I'm in a very massive storm, as there's a cyclone ripping through Queensland right now. You can hear the rain in the background. So, I've decided to christen this event by reading a story about the rain. The story is kind of sad, so you're gonna have to, I don't know, get some Kleenex or something, I don't know. Rain by DeiStar. That stupid unicorn. Trixie stomped her hooves hard against the pebbles below her, a grunt escaping from her mouth. The only thing she could hear were the drone of falling raindrops and the crushing of twigs and leaves underhoof. She dared defy the great and powerful Trixie. Trixie wheezed, making her way through the muddy pathway of the forest. She had stopped caring about her dirty hooves long ago. Her pale blue tail was now a wet mess covered in a thin layer of mud. Her mane was no better. It was as wet as her tail, and had a few branches and leaves stuck on it. Her hooves squirmed as she trotted, making her movements trippy and clumsy. She could barely see anything in front of her. If Trixie ever sees her again, She will. The thick, cold raindrops splashed against Trixie's face non-stop. She squinted her eyes and shook her head, but in a matter of seconds the rain had drenched her face again. It was already numb, so she didn't care about feeling anything. Her mind was focused on something else. She will. Trixie coughed. Ever since it started to rain, she had been sneezing and coughing. Her body felt weak and numb, and she would constantly sniffle. However, that was the last of her concerns. Believing that it would lead the way back to Ponyville, she had entered the forest earlier that day, without a single thought that she would get lost and trot around in circles. At first, she didn't notice, but once she saw the same dead bush 3 times, she knew something had gone wrong. She tried to go back, tracking her hoofsteps, but the rain had vanished them all. She will show her who the best unicorn in all of Equestria's. With each footstep Trixie took, her hooves gained extra weight. It was a shame that she had left her cape and hat behind when she fled from Ponyville. They could have kept her a bit warmer, at least. Unwilling to give up, she dragged her body, even though it hurt. Trixie has been wandering through this cursed forest for hours. Where's the exit? She didn't even know how long she had been lost. She only knew it had been daytime when she first ventured into the forest, and that now it was late at night. Even though no pony was around, her pride didn't allow her to display any sort of weakness, even if it was about her well-being. If anything, the only thing some pony was going to receive from her would be praise and admiration. My hooves hurt. I'm hungry. I'm cold. Trixie wished that she had a wagon. It had not only been the stage where she performed her tricks, but her home. Ever since she had begun traveling across Equestria, her wagon had been her only shelter. Now that it was gone, she had to find other places to protect herself. She had nothing to her name. Trixie has lost everything. Everything. And it's all Twilight Sparkle's fault. As the empty words whispered out of her mouth, Trixie stopped for a second. She tilted her head and looked down at the muddy path. For a few seconds, she wondered if what she said was true. Was it Twilight Sparkle's fault? The rain seemed to stop while she thought about it, but it was still pouring hard against her coat. It was Twilight's fault. Oh. Was it? Trixie kept dragging her hooves, even when they were begging for her to stop. Tilting her head down, she coughed once again, her body shivering as she advanced forwards. What has Trixie done with her life? These words lingered in her mind. What had she done? Did her life really consist of going from town to town, entertaining ponies with magic tricks and illusions? Trixie had thought that the answer was yes, of course. After all, that was what her life was all about. She was happy. So why did she feel like she was missing something? What happened during that trip to Ponyville that had changed her way of seeing things? She didn't even know. Trixie had everything. She had fans, admiration, fame, and a reputation. What didn't she have? Love. Trixie stood motionless and felt a chill running down her spine. Love? Why would she think about something as trivial as love? Never during her previous journeys had she felt any need for it. So why now, in the middle of this cold, rainy, muddy forest? She coughed once again, quite loudly this time. No. Trixie does not need love. Not now. Not ever. Trixie shook her head and extended a hoof to advance. However, a dull and persistent pain began growing in her legs. Shivering, she groaned and tripped, collapsing on the ground, her face splashing with the mud below. She squealed and wiped away the mud with her hoof, clenching her teeth. The throbbing pain in her hind legs became stronger. No! Trixie does not! As she wasted her breath, spitting words that no pony could hear, her eyes met with a familiar, tingling sensation. The rain easily hid the fact that tears leaked from Trixie as her gaze fixed at the road in front of her. Faint sobs replaced her weak words. Why is Trixie crying? She's not sad. She's fine. If only that could be true. What has Trixie done with her life? She's always threw the blame on others. She never took responsibility for her acts. She never cared to make friends. Trixie's always been alone. It's all Trixie's fault. The unicorn whimpered, drowning in her own sorrow. This was supposed to be the time when something would show up and tell her, it's not your fault. But it wasn't going to happen. She knew that kind of stuff only happened in books and tales. She was alone, stranded in the middle of nowhere, and no pony was going to come and comfort her. Her sole companion that night was the rain. No friends. No pony to care for. Trixie has forgotten the meaning of the word love. And now, she's alone. Her vision began to blur. The cramps no longer bothered her. She couldn't feel her hind legs anymore. She couldn't stand up. She was going to lay there on the mud where she belonged. Her whimpers turned into heavy panting. The twilight sparkle. Forgive Trixie for her actions. Please. Trixie lay there, motionless. Her body ceased responding. She couldn't even tilt her head up, and her eyes felt heavy. She only thought about finding her way out of the forest, which didn't seem to be an easy task. Trixie's throat hurt every time that she coughed, but compared to the rest of her body, it wasn't that bad. Nobody loves Trixie, and she deserves it. Trixie is sorry. Sorry. Trixie will be a good filly from now on. She promises. Looking at the cold, harsh, yet beautiful rains flashing against her face for one last time, Trixie slowly closed her eyes. She had never stopped to realize how beautiful the rain was. The shiny raindrops sprinkling everywhere, nurturing the plants and giving life wherever they dropped. They were gorgeous. Trixie chuckled, a faint smile forming on her face. She took a soft breath, and her vision faded. The world slipped away as she shut her eyes, and she fell into a deep, restful slumber. It was the first time in a long time that Trixie felt this good about herself. She was calm and relaxed. She had been at peace. Maybe Trixie will find the exit tomorrow. That is, of course, if tomorrow will ever come for Trixie.
Well, dang, that was a bit sad.
Yeah, I saw this. I typed in rain in FimFiction. I saw this one. I read it. I was like, I can't not read this story. Yeah. I think it's pretty effective. Although that last line, I think it would be better if that last line wasn't there. You know, that is, of course, if tomorrow will ever come for Trixie. You know, just to leave the audience in a bit of suspense that, well, maybe Trixie will find the exit tomorrow, and then it just ends. Be like, oh, she died. Oh dear. Instead of the author explicitly telling her, yeah, she's gonna die. Don't worry about it, guys. You don't need to hang in any suspense or anything like that. But oh well, that's the one thing I would change. Other than that, the story was pretty damn good. Yeah. So this is Kiyomiya reading Rain by DeiStar. DeiStar? I don't know. This is Kiyomiya reading Rain by DeiStar. I hope you enjoyed that little sad tale. This is Kiyomiya signing off. Goodbye and good luck.